What is going on, guys? My name is Chris and welcome to the LAN Party. Today we're going to be doing something that I'm really interested in, and that is talking about game battles competitive classes that I use in all my search and destroy matches with my team. So, if you're not really into the competitive side of COD and you're really more of just a public match player, don't click away because this video is still for you. You can use these classes in all of your public matches and they're going to work for you just like they work for me in my game battles matches. But first, before we get into the created class section of the video, we're going to talk about two specialists that I like to use. So number one is going to be Psychosis. I like to use it on the bigger maps, kind of like Infection, because it's, even though a lot of these really good players on game battles are going to know to look for the movements of the bots and try to distinguish you from the bots, it's still good to have, and it could offer that little, couple of seconds of confusion that could win you the round. But really what I've been using lately is Heatwave. It's a really great thing, and it's kind of like a flash and a stun combined. I'm sure most of you already know what it does, but I only use it on the mid to small range maps because the range of the Heatwave itself, it isn't really that great, and I particularly use it when I'm running an SMG. So, that aside, oh, and one last thing. Guys, when you're playing on maps, if you're playing on a snow map, do change to like a snowy camo, because it really does help, honestly. It really does help. If you're on Infection and you see a guy using a bright pink like paint job on his gun and like bright green camo when you're on a snow map, like it's gonna stick out like a sore thumb. So really do take that into consideration. I know a lot of people overlook that. So let's move on to the created class section of the video, and we're gonna start off with the SMGs. My personal favorite gun, and I think a lot of people's favorite guns, is the Vesper. I think it's the best gun in the game, even above the M8. It just has such a high rate of fire. It can absolutely melt people. If you're good with the SMG and you like to rush, this is the gun for you. I'm sure most of you know this already, but what you may not know is what I like to do, and it's kind of, something that my friend told me about to try out, and once I started doing it, it really started working, and that is the use of thermite grenades, but we'll get into that in a little bit. So first thing we're going to look at here is the Vesper that we're using. The attachments I like to run are grip and extended mags. I think extended mags is the one that is most necessary out of these two. Grip, I've seen people run, instead of grip, laser sight, quick draw, stock. I've seen people run 3 attachments, which I personally don't like to do, but if it works for you, it works for you. Quick draw, stock, and extended mags, that's totally fine. Attachments I would not recommend in S&D are long barrel, fast mags, and rapid fire. Rapid fire is the kind of thing that I've heard people like to use it, and if you feel like you do well with it, go right ahead. But it's something that I wouldn't recommend and I don't really like to use. And suppressor is actually currently banned from game battles rules because of a temporary glitch that there exists right now, and I think it'll be unbanned after the glitch has been patched. But I wouldn't recommend the suppressor anyway. Honestly, I would stick to your core, like quick draw, stock, grip, laser sight, extended mags. I think those are really vital and can help you out. Extended mags more so than anything, because typically when you're gonna kill someone, it's gonna take you a good 10 bullets, just because you might miss some, you might miss the first few, and the rate of fire is so quick that even if you already killed him, you're gonna let out another 4 bullets afterward. So having that extended mags bumps up the magazine size from 30 to 42, really important. I would highly recommend it. So that aside, so gun camo, I wouldn't really use. This dark red might be viable in a game. You could totally use that because it's a little bit difficult to see, but honestly, I like to stick to burnt. It's something dark, heat stroke, all these earth tones. They're not flashy, they're not really cool, but I like to stick to them when I'm playing matches, just because it is more difficult to see, believe it or not. It really is. And it could make the difference between getting killed or getting that kill. So we're going to move on to perks. We're going to leave the lethals for last because that's the most exciting part out of all this, and I think the most unique compared to what most people are running on their classes. So perk 1, we're going to use Flak Jacket every single time. If you want, this is if you want, you can get away with not using Flak Jacket for the first few rounds, but if you see that someone on the other team might have those 400 points in a row necessary to get the HCXD, you're going to want to slap on Flak Jacket. Now, Flak Jacket is not a 100% guarantee to survive an HCXD, although it was nearly 100%, I think, when the game first came out. They did patch it, and now HCXDs will kill you if it's right next to you, even if you have Flak Jacket, but Flak Jacket will save your skin in so many scenarios from HCXDs, and even, believe it or not, if someone's throwing a spawn nade, a spawn frag, I would highly recommend it, because when those HCXDs come in, you do not want to be scrambling, like, worried about the HCXD the whole time. You want to quickly be able to hear it, take it out, and then move on. You don't want to be worried about, oh my god, it's going to kill me, it's getting too close. Highly recommend Flak Jacket. Please use it. Now, Blast Suppressor and Dead Silence are another two that I really highly recommend. I've seen top page teams not use one or the other in order to get maybe an extra attachment or a secondary or something like that. I do not suggest this at all. If you don't have dead silence, sure, you might be able to get away with it in the beginning if you're the designated, say, spawn sniper for your team or something like that. But honestly, if you're left in like a 1v2, 1v3 scenario where you have to plant the bomb, you have to do something like that, they're going to hear you coming and you're absolutely screwed. I would highly recommend dead silence. Do not leave the house without dead silence. I'll put it that way. Blast Suppressor is the same way. I could see you getting away with it on defense, not using Blast Suppressor. I could see that. If you're an M8 player on, say, like evac or something, and you're sitting back in A and you're watching the top awning for that peak, you know, you can get away with it. It's up to you if you want to risk that or not. Personally, I'm not risking it, especially with this SMG class we have right here. You're going to be, you know, using your scuff, you know, for your mobility, your slides, your jumps, all that kind of stuff. You're going to want Blast Suppressor, and you're really going to want dead silence. No one wants to, you know, get caught sneaking up behind someone because they heard your footsteps. Come on, come on. So let's move on. Sorry, guys, I'm a little congested. My bad. But hope it's not gross. Some people get grossed out by that. But anyway, who cares? All right, we're moving on to thermites. Now, I like to run 2 on my main. This is my main S&D class right here. If I'm not running the M8, this is my main class. So, personally, I will sacrifice that extra slot, 10 out of 10, to get the Grenadier or Danger Close wild card, and I'll get those 2 thermites. Now, thermites are extremely, extremely useful, and it's really something that, you know, I think my team is starting to, you know, adopt into our meta and the way we play. And it's catching teams really, really off guard. They're not used to seeing thermites coming from a good team. You know, our record's like 12-3. It's, you know, pretty good. But when people see that, they're like, oh my god, this good team, we thought they were going to flash us. We thought they were going to just outgun us. But they're running thermites, and some people might think it's a little scrubby. Sure, whatever, fine. But you can't deny the effectiveness of it. And if you're winning matches because you're using thermites, then use thermites. They're not banned. You know, you have to work with what you're given, and they're extremely effective. You throw it on the ground, it has some splash damage, it has a little bit of range. If people walk through it, that's 35 to 45 damage taken off of them right off the bat. You know, if they linger in it because they think it's simmering down, so they walk through it again, they're dead. You know, so if you can cut off a choke point, you know, you can really delay a rush. Let's say you know they're going to rush B on a certain map, right? You throw it in the doorway, you just delayed them a few seconds, like 4, 5, 6 seconds, just because they don't want to run through it. And if they run through it, then they're a 2-shot, 3-shot kill maybe with a Vesper, you know? So, you know, and then the reason I'm using 2 is, say I go to B-bomb, or I don't know, just some arbitrary bomb, and I'm watching a room and a doorway. I throw it in the doorway. It fizzles out. I throw another one. So this guy's thinking, oh, okay, it fizzles out, I'm going to run through. I throw another one. You know, it's really, really effective for cutting off positions. You don't have to look down a hallway if you threw a thermite. You know, I'll give you an example. Say you're out evac and you're watching mid-map on defense. Someone runs through mid and takes the staircase towards B-bomb. You see them go in, you throw a thermite, you call out that he went staircase, so your teammate at B is waiting for him to come up staircase, and the beautiful thing is he can't go back down because you trapped him in there with a thermite. Thermites are extremely useful. I would highly recommend them. That's all I'm going to say about thermites for this game. We're going to move on to our next class. The next class I like to use in certain rush maneuvers is the same exact class, but instead we have 2 key differences. We have a trophy system instead of the second thermite, and we freed up that 10 slot to get fast hands. Now this is a more kind of aggressive push that I'm going to do here if I have this class. I'm going to be dropping my tactical, you know, on that rush to blow up any thermites that they might be throwing my way, or any, you know, stun grenades, flash grenades, frags, things like that. And I still do have that 1 thermite in my back pocket, and I have fast hands to help me out on that rush to aim faster, you know, after a sprint. So, you know, otherwise, same things, same perk 3 with the double, same attachments, the grip and the extended mag. Like I said, you can adjust the grip if you want. You can maybe make it, you know, laser sight or whatever you feel comfortable with. You can mess around with it and see if you can handle that recoil. Keep in mind that grips in this game only reduce the aim down sight recoil 7.5%. So, you know, it might not be necessary for some people. I've seen, you know, one of my teammates pick off people from a good medium range distance without grip using the Vesper, and it's manageable to him. So I think, you know, I might start weaning myself off of it and, you know, maybe pick a different attachment instead. This third class here is very similar. I sacrificed fast hands for 2 flashbangs. As long as the other team is not using a trophy system, flashbangs are extremely, and I will say this, You know, time and time again, if you watch my live streams, if you watch my videos, flashbangs are so powerful in this game, so powerful. You know, if you flash someone, they are completely blinded, their entire screen. Even if they're turning in the other direction, they will still get blinded. I know, you know, a lot of Counter-Strike players, if someone's throwing a flash at you, you turn the other way, it's very minimized how much you get flashed if you're not looking at it, right? Not so in Call of Duty. If you're flashed, if it's in that radius, you are flashed, and you are flashed a lot. You completely go white the whole screen. You can't see a damn thing, and it takes up, you know, a good 3, 4, 5 seconds. I'm not sure on the exact timing and statistics on that, but I would highly recommend if you're a good OBJ player, if you're good at rushing, you like the running gun style, use flashbangs. They're extremely useful. If you find that the other team is starting to use tactical trophy systems rather, then either A, keep throwing them anyway just to use up the trophy systems, or switch to, you know, yourself using trophy systems, or just take off tacticals altogether and, you know, get a secondary, something like that. You know, you guys can mess around, and that's how the meta works. You know, you have to see what the other team is doing, and you need to have classes to balance, you know, against what they might throw at you. That's why I use trophy systems in the first place. Very effective. So that's the end of the SMG portion of the created class kind of showcase that we're doing right now. We're going to move on to the M8 class. Now, you know, the other viable ARs in the game are the Man of War and the Shiva. Don't use them. Just don't. Don't do it. Don't do that to yourself. No, you're better than that, honey. You're better than that. Use an M8. Believe in yourself. Use an M8. So this is my main M8 class right here. You're going to be running ELO, definitely. If you like red dot sight more than ELO, fine, whatever. Use red dot sight. You guys know. Use your judgment there. High caliber, I would highly recommend. Get it? High caliber. High. Okay, anyway. Use high caliber. You're going to get extra damage on those headshots, and especially, you know, when you have a 4-burst gun that rides up their spine to their head, you're going to be getting that extra damage on that headshot. It's going to be extremely useful. I've had situations where I was in like 1v3 scenarios, 1v2 scenarios where the reason I was able to clutch up is because I was able to just right up to their head and bing, it would kill them in a 1 burst, you know? Very useful. You will get those extra 1 bursts. Rapid fire. So important. I would okay, pause. The thing with rapid fire is that I find personally that it made those really like cross map kills a little bit trickier because it does ride up a little bit more. However, what I have seen people do is use grip with rapid fire. Would I recommend it? I don't know. I've never tried it, but that's something that you might want to experiment with on your own. I like to use high caliber in rapid fire. I haven't tried grip in rapid fire. Maybe I will. But rapid fire, the key thing that it does is your 4 bullets in your burst are going to be tighter together, which is going to make you get your 1 bursts easier, right? Because all your bullets are going to go like pretty much where you aim, as opposed to, you know, the slower rate of fire, which they could scatter a bit. Like, you know, the person can move and you might miss. Another thing is that you're going to be able to pull your burst faster. So 1, 2, 3, 4. You know, when you're in those mid-range scenarios where people are jumping out at you and you're like, you know, you're basically getting overwhelmed with opponents, you need to be able to pop off the burst really quickly, and it's super effective. I mean, I've used it in a bunch of scenarios where rapid fire really helped me get those kills. So that's the class that I would recommend for the M8. Down in your lethal and tactical, same thing. Thermite and trophy system. Trophy system is extremely useful if you're supporting your team on a rush movement and you're using the M8. Let's say you're on infection offense and you're running down B Street trying to overtake it. You're going to throw your trophy system down in the street ahead. I just did this last night. It worked like a charm. The other team was throwing flashes, throwing stuns. Broken. Like, they weren't able to get us because I threw down the trophy system and one of my other teammates threw down a trophy system. If you have like 2 teammates, you know, running a trophy system, or, you know, if you have 2 or 3 trophies down per offensive round, you're going to be good to go. You know, and like I said, in the back pocket, you got that thermite. The only thing I might exchange this for is a frag, because frags do go farther, and since I'm using the M8, I'm putting myself at a larger range, you know, to set myself up for those long-range gunfights against the opponent. So I would recommend maybe a frag if you like it. Just because we're on the topic of infection offense, we'll go B Street, jump up to top rock. The frag will reach the guy who's peeking on their side around the bend. You know, the thermite really doesn't reach. So I might recommend a frag for you, maybe even a Semtex if you're into that. Combat X if you're feeling like an absolute stud, and of course Trip Mine and C4, they're banned, so don't use those. Same thing here with the flak jacket. You really want to watch out for those HCXDs, and of course you got your standard 2 perks, Blast Suppressor and Dead Silence. Last created class slot here is another M8 with just ELO, no attachments at all because you need those spaces. Now I'm going to get into how you have to play differently with that later, but first let me talk about the sniper. So we're going to be using an overkill sniper. It's going to be thermal, and I like to use stage fright. The reason I like to use stage fright as my thermal optic is because there's a lot of space to see your opponents in the middle. There's not a whole lot of action going on, and the red dot in the middle is just a small red dot. Very simple, as opposed to this circle and the default, which I don't really like that much, to be quite honest with you. And you're going to run cold-blooded because, now, the thing is, when I'm going for these spawn snipes, I throw down a smoke, so I'm hidden in the smoke, and I can thermal through the smoke, right? So the other team can't see me. If they have a thermal sniper, they still can't see me because I'm cold-blooded. It works like a charm. It catches people off guard. I've had situations where I've gone for a spawn shot. I see the other team's sniper. I see him looking for me, but he can't see me, and I'm just like, oh, okay. Dink, and he's dead. Like, you really catch them off guard when you're using cold-blooded. The thing is, a lot of good teams do this, so in order to combat, you know, another team using a cold-blooded sniper, you have to be careful. Like, let's say you go top church in infection, right, on defense. You're in a little window, so the other team, if they see you throw the smoke in that window, they know someone's inside the smoke, they're just going to shoot right through the smoke, regardless of whether or not they catch you on their thermal sights. So you do have to be careful of that. Use your head, you know, that's up to you guys. And that's that class. That's really how it goes. The last thing I want to say about this class is that the M8, since you only have ELO, you don't have rapid fire, you don't have high caliber, you're going to have to play your gun battle a lot smarter. If you are left in a 1v3 scenario, it's going to be extremely difficult for you. So that is the downfall of this class. Because you don't have that rapid fire, you don't really have anything that you can engage close range with, except for that standard M8, which is really difficult to do without rapid fire, without high caliber, and things like that. So you're going to want to really set yourself up for smart gunfights, create distance between you and your opponent, because M8 will absolutely destroy the Vesper at any distance, you know, past like a mid-range. And, you know, really be smart in how you're going to engage, because the rapid fire, you really can't just run in and, you know, big D people. You have to kind of take it smartly. So I think this really wraps up pretty much everything I wanted to say. This was a little bit of a lengthy video. I think it was about 18 minutes long or so. But, you know, if you stuck with me, I appreciate that. I hope you guys really learned something, because, you know, this isn't just me coming up with random classes. This is stuff that I've played a lot of game battles on this game. I think over 100 game battles on Black Ops 3 already. So, yeah, easily over 100 game battles on Black Ops 3 already. So, you know, it's something that I've tested out classes. I've seen what works, what doesn't work, and I'm still learning and changing my classes. So I will post another video eventually, and you know, with different patches and updates and rules that they implement, you know, via MLG or game battles and all that stuff. We'll see how the classes change, how the meta changes, and what people use and don't use in game battles. But for now, this is the best I can give you. I really think this will improve your gameplay a lot. Go out there, use these classes, try them out, and just absolutely melt people with the Vesper, and, you know, be smart with the M8 and get those picks long range. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. My name is Chris, and thank you for coming to the LAN party. Like the video if you want to see more, and leave me a comment down below on what classes you guys use if you use something different than me. Alright, I'll see you in the next one. Peace!